Good evening and welcome to today's eerie echo enigmas. Have you ever heard of a material so strange, so secret, that it could show you things? Things beyond the ordinary? Something hidden from the naked eye? And maybe even hidden from reality itself? Well, hold on to your skepticism, because what you're about to hear might just change how you look at the world. Literally. It's not a crystal ball or a mirror, but something more peculiar. A simple glass, yet it supposedly reveals worlds beyond our comprehension. A world hidden from the naked eye, maybe even hidden from reality itself. Imagine a pair of glasses that can reveal another dimension. No, not your granny's reading glasses or those fancy VR headsets, but something far stranger. Today we're talking about Dicyanin glass. Dicyanin dye is a synthetic dye derived from coal tar that was used for sensitizing photographic plates, first manufactured in the early 20th century in Frankfurt, Germany, and has garnered attention for its unique properties and potential applications in various scientific fields. Most people have never heard of it. But those who have? Well, they say it's not just a scientific oddity. They say it might just be the key to unlocking hidden dimensions. Dimensions that our world might not be ready to confront. Our story begins in the early 1900s, in the lab of British physician Dr. Walter Kilner. Now, Kilner wasn't your typical mad scientist. He wasn't obsessed with UFOs, spirits, or the paranormal. In fact, his goals were grounded in the medical field. Kilner worked at St. Thomas's Hospital in London, where he was in charge of electrotherapy. His medical background and interest in the human body set the stage for his later explorations into energy fields and the human aura. Yes, the human aura. That faint glow some claim to see around people. It was all pretty medical, until it wasn't. At first, Kilner's interest in auras was nothing extraordinary. This interest was part of a broader movement that sought to understand the unseen energies surrounding living beings. Ancient mystics and spiritualists had spoken of these energy fields for centuries, but Kilner approached it from a medical perspective. He thought that if auras were real, they could provide insight into a person's physical health and emotional state. And here's where things took a strange turn. In his search for a way to better observe the human aura, Kilner stumbled upon something unusual: dicyanin. Dicyanin dye is primarily known for its use in the sensitization of photographic plates to infrared light. Dicyanin glass is a type of glass that has been treated with dicyanin, a synthetic blue dye. Kilner placed the dye in between two glass planes and looked through it. He discovered that when viewed through this glass, something almost magical happened. What he found was the ability to see the aura of any person. He invented a device known as the Kilner screen. These screens were designed to help the observer perceive what Kilner hypothesized to be the human aura, or etheric double. With these glasses, anybody with no supernatural abilities was now able to see the human aura. When looking at a body with the screens, first you notice a dark band surrounding the body closely, which stays the same size all the way around. This is called the etheric double. Next, you see the inner aura, which is denser and follows the shape of the body. It appears to touch the body, but is just outside the etheric double. The outer aura starts at the edge of the inner aura and changes in size. When you look at the whole aura through a blue Dicyanin screen, all the parts blend together. However, when using a red carmine screen, which is a red dye that he experimented with, the different parts of the aura become easier to see. But that wasn't the weird part. People soon whispered that Dicyanin could do much more than that. With the right setup, they claimed, it could show hidden realities. And that's when things started to get weird. As Kilner's work became known, strange rumors began circulating. People began to claim that the Dicyanin glass had properties far beyond the doctor's intentions. It wasn't just for observing human auras. Some said the glass could reveal hidden dimensions, realms of existence usually invisible to the human eye. Imagine putting on a pair of glasses, and suddenly you see the world differently. You start noticing movements in the corner of your vision, shapes that shouldn't be there, entire landscapes morphing in ways you've never imagined. Maybe even extraterrestrial entities. Well, that's exactly what some people claim the Dicyanin goggles could do. It wasn't just a medical tool for studying energy. It was a window to another dimension. A window, they say, that certain powers didn't want us peering through. Here's where things take a suspicious turn. By the 1940s, Dicyanin was mysteriously banned, not just out of production, but outright illegal to possess. Governments claimed the ban was due to its toxicity, calling the dye dangerous for human use. Toxicity, huh? Sure. And I'm the tooth fairy. Isn't it strange how some things suddenly become dangerous when they show you things the government doesn't want you to see? Was this a simple case of public safety? Or did governments across the world catch wind of something more forbidden? Theories have swirled for decades. Many wonder why Dicyanin is highly restricted since it's not a drug, isn't physically dangerous, nor is it poisonous. Some believe Dicyanin wasn't banned because of its danger to the human body, but because of its danger to the human mind. The most common theory around Dicyanin glass suggests that it allows people to see entities from other dimensions, beings that exist alongside us, but just out of sight. What if they aren't tricks of the mind? What if they're real, and Dicyanin glass makes them visible? Sounds pretty far-fetched, doesn't it? But then again, we've seen stranger things. And it's not like governments have ever hidden technologies from the public, right? Jump forward to the Vietnam War, a time when soldiers found themselves deep in uncharted, ominous jungles. The United States became heavily involved in the early 1960s, and the U.S. military had developed early-generation Starlight night vision scopes to help soldiers see in low-light conditions. These goggles were made of red phosphor and dichroic crystals. These devices emitted a faint, eerie red hue, casting the dense jungle in an otherworldly glow. But according to some reports, these scopes seemed to reveal more than just hidden enemy troops. Soldiers began experiencing terrifying visions, shadowy figures, strange lights, and phantom shapes flickering in their peripheral vision.
So my father did 3 tours in the Vietnam War. They let him be in charge of a couple of different projects. One of the projects that he was in charge of at the time was these technology that they introduced into Vietnam that almost brought the war to a standstill. Wow. And this technology was a night vision goggle. But it's not night vision as we have it now, okay? Because the night vision goggle was done in the red spectrum. And so when my father came back from
You mean
Vietnam,
infrared or
no, I'll explain in a second.
ordinary red?
Oh, ordinary red. Okay.
Mm.
So instead of seeing, when you look at a night vision goggles now, you see green. Everything is
Right.
translated into green for you.
Mm.
And human eye sees green, more colors, shades of green than any other color. It's
Right.
part of our evolution.
Mm.
And so the night vision goggles were introduced to helicopter pilots and gunnery people in Vietnam, and it was a disaster. Because of the technology being used at that time, it created very interesting effects that they could not deal with.
These sightings weren't easily dismissed either. Accounts suggest that soldiers, spooked by what they saw, would often fire at these entities, only to find there was nothing there at all.
So you had some officers that were part of this cadre or this cohort of other officers that were all testing these new technologies for the military that had their troops always use these goggles. And those units became self-destructive. They went down in a horrid situation. My father was extremely practical, didn't want to see himself get destroyed in any way, wanted to return and get out. So as soon as he saw what was going on with these goggles, he had his people take them off. But the effect was this: a gunner in a helicopter would have no problem using these goggles. And only everything is showing up as a sort of a faint reddish image. And it was true night vision the way we have it now. Anyway, the goggles that were presented to the gunners, and my father tells the story of the very first time they're out with them, and they're flying along, and he's in the front of the helicopter with the pilot. And all of a sudden, in a very peaceful area, not anything going on at all, the gunner in his on the starboard side of his helicopter starts firing wildly at their height, not at anything on the ground, but at an area that he was shooting at, and basically causing other helicopters in their little flotilla to have to react. Mm-hmm. And he's describing to my father that he was shooting at these basically flying demons that were flying alongside the helicopter. And he knew they were coming to get him because they were gesturing at him and they could see him. And so he reacted and he started shooting his Bren gun, big 50 caliber slugs at these things, right? And they were flying along right next to the helicopter. So he's firing out directly from the helicopter, and there are other helicopters in the vicinity. So it caused all kinds of problems. And this goes on repeatedly, week after week after week. Every time they try and use these night vision goggles, at some point they encounter monsters, true monsters.
And you could interact with these apparitions when you had the Google.
The apparitions could see you, and you could see them. That's what caused these people to think they were under attack by these beings, and to respond by shooting at them. Now, officers had been told not to wear these. Okay, the pilots were told not to wear them, but my dad put them on to see what the hell was going on, and to hear him describe it, it was like being in the worst kind of a demonic gothic hell.
Jeez.
That you'd look out at the tops of trees and you'd see these creatures with big wings and claws and everything come flying off of the tops of the trees. But you take the goggles off and there's not even a disturbance in the fog above the canopy of the trees, right? Yeah. The single exposure to the goggles that he would put on that one time had an unsettling effect on him for several weeks afterwards. Right. And the people that wore the red goggles, the gunners and these kind of people, were unstable at best for months. Many of them were cycled right out of the war as a result of this experience. And it was tied to the red image. And so as soon as they went to green, all of this kind of stuff disappeared. I've got those goggles, and I see a lot of the UFOs and stuff, okay, because I see the secret space program with the goggles flying around doing stuff. I see the big ships. I see the little triangular ships. I see what to a military brat are clearly logistics movements. I also see clearly what are coordinated flotilla training exercises where they're all learning to fly with each other.
Are these connected to the modern night vision goggles people used to see UFOs?
Correct.
Third generation or whatever they're called. Is this the same technology?
It's the same technology. It's just that the translation is done through a different phase alignment, and we're not seeing everything that the goggles could show you.
Many individuals have used Dicyanin goggles to see auras or detect spiritual presences in haunted locations.
Auraglasses. See auras instantly. If you want to see auras instantly, even without any prior spiritual development, you can do so with AuraView's Auraglasses.
I've been a paranormal investigator for over 10 years, and I'm part of a ghost hunting group. We visit lots of places and use all sorts of equipment, and the Auraglasses are by far our favorite.
The Auraglasses work by the use of a groundbreaking synthetic photothermal chemical compound. This unique compound is what helps to instantly highlight subtle energy fields which otherwise are invisible to the naked eye.
You can find a variety of these goggles online, with prices ranging from $50 to $5,000.
He's talking about Dicyanin goggles, not the ones I'm wearing. These are Aura goggles, which I bought on Amazon.
The reviews we found on Etsy, eBay, and Amazon are, well, let's just say, mixed.
He's talking about these Dicyanin goggles, which I bought here on TikTok from a Museum of Tarot.
With the rise of do-it-yourself experimentation, some people have tried recreating Kilner's aura experiments with makeshift filters and dyes similar to Dicyanin.
Now you can see the world in a whole new light for under $10 with these homemade infrared goggles. First, I picked up a pair of welding goggles that have removable lenses. Cost $7.
While there's no verified evidence of success or studies, the experience reports you can find online are overwhelming. We collected a few for you to read. Pause the video if you need. These and many more stories have led to a lasting association between Dicyanin glasses and aura detection, and the tale continues to live online.
Stick with these Dicyanin goggles.
Developed by the Soviet scientist Semyon Kirlian in 1939, this technique involves photographing objects, like fingertips or leaves, placed on a photographic plate connected to a high-voltage source. The process produces an image surrounded by a glowing halo, often linked to the idea of capturing the human aura or energy field of the subject on film. Both Dicyanin Glasses and Kirlian Photography are connected to aura detection and uncovering hidden aspects of reality. The basis of Kirlian Photography lies in corona discharge, an electrical phenomenon where a high-voltage field ionizes the surrounding air. When an object is placed on a photographic plate with high voltage applied, the resulting electric field creates an illuminated outline around it. The glow varies in shape and intensity depending on factors like humidity, pressure, and the physical makeup of the object. This is especially noticeable in living organisms, which conduct electricity differently than inanimate objects. Kirlian and his wife Valentina proposed that this photographic technique could capture more than just corona discharge. It could reveal a life force, or aura, around living beings. They suggest that Kirlian photography offers a glimpse into a person's physical and emotional state, with the colors and shapes of the glow reflecting health, mood, and even spiritual well-being. The scientific community largely views Kirlian photography as capturing an electrical reaction, rather than an aura in the mystical sense. Studies indicate that the images are simply the result of varying moisture levels on the skin, conductive properties, and environmental factors like temperature and humidity. As living organisms have unique electrical conductivities, Kirlian photographs naturally display different patterns when capturing biological subjects, often leading to claims of energy fields. Of course, with any great mystery, we have to separate fact from fiction. Kilner's work was well documented in medical journals, and his studies on the aura were published. He even wrote a book called The Human Atmosphere, where he describes in detail how he found out about the dye, an instruction with exact proportions, and what you can read from the aura. You can find a link to a free PDF in the description. His work on Dicyanin and the human aura influenced later researchers and sparked interest in the study of energy fields and their potential implications for health and wellness. But beyond that, the more extraordinary claims that Dicyanin could reveal hidden dimensions or extraterrestrial beings remain officially unverified. Skeptics argue that the Dicyanin glass was just a scientific tool and nothing more. But what about all the reports, especially from pilots and soldiers during the Vietnam War? Soldiers in Vietnam endured intense stress, extreme heat, and dense, isolated jungles. Conditions that could naturally blur the line between reality and nightmare. Could the soldiers have been hallucinating? Whatever those soldiers saw, whatever haunted their nights and filled their reports, has been lost to classified files and whispered myths. Officially, it's all just stories. But thanks to the internet, you can find many posts and anecdotes from people who experienced paranormal encounters. Do they all lie for fame? And the government bans? According to the US government, Dicyanin has never been banned and is still used in various laboratory settings, particularly in astronomy and spectrochemical research. The National Institute of Standards and Technology says it employs Dicyanin for legitimate scientific purposes, emphasizing its role in research rather than the supernatural. Analytical spectroscopy lets scientists study materials by analyzing how they interact with different types of electromagnetic waves, like UV, visible light, infrared, X-rays, and microwaves. These techniques help us gather detailed information about everything from atoms and molecules to distant stars. However, any connection between spectroscopy and the supernatural, such as the idea of using it to see auras, other worlds, or invisible beings, has largely been dismissed or overlooked. But despite all of this, people have tried to find Dicyanin online, as well as on the dark web. Apart from a few cheap blue sunglasses, there is no pure Dicyanin for sale to be found anywhere, at least not for private individuals. During our research, we found a Chinese chemical supplier who offers the legendary blue substance, but with no product information or price, and not without contacting them before. While there are many conspiracies and legends about Dicyanin, reliable information about it, its production, or even just a Wikipedia entry is hard to find. So, here we are, over a century later, still asking the same question. What are we to believe? Fact is, we all know that the human eyes can only see a specific range of light. Light is part of the electromagnetic spectrum, which includes all forms of electromagnetic radiation. This ranges from low-frequency radio waves to high-frequency gamma rays. Most of these types of light fall outside the visible spectrum, but we can make them visible with special tools. And only since we have the tools to make them visible, we know they exist. Dozens of written testimonials can be found online, from soldiers to regular people who report about the real glasses. However, no scientists or studies officially verify any supernatural properties of Dicyanin. Is it possible that it has been covered up in order to hide the existence of the etheric body? Or maybe even more? In the end, maybe we're all just looking through the wrong lens. Or maybe the real mystery is that we never got the chance to look through the right one. We might never know for sure.